Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be talking about Ringmaster. If you didn't know, there's a new Dota hero. I'm sure basically everyone watching this video knows at this point, but I didn't want to make a video just talking about what the spells do and, I didn't want to make a spotlight video because there's plenty of channels that already do that. I wanted to kind of give myself some time to watch a hero, see a couple games, see a couple builds, and so I could give you guys some direction if you want to play the hero. And so yeah, at this point, I've watched a bit of the hero. I understand all abilities very well, the talent builds, the item options, and so on and so on. We're going to be covering support Ringmaster because I do think that this hero is best as a support. However, I believe it also can be played as a nuker mid. In terms of items for nuker mid, I'm thinking something like Atos. Frankly, Dagon is a good option. This hero has so much spell damage that the spell life steal is good, and of course a little bit of burst. Yeah, you could just go some like Dagon utility route, and that's totally fine as well. But okay. We're going to be watching XingQ. Love this guy because he's an item innovator. This game, he doesn't go anything crazy. We're going to be looking at a 4-staff Octarine build, but I will talk about some of the other potential items that you can buy on Ringmaster if you want to play the hero. On top of that, go sign up to the gameleap website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. All right, but let's start off with the laning stage. So this hero is not actually the best laner. It's not bad, but honestly, it's not bad because it has the Valve treatment in one stat in particular. This hero has 315 base movement speed. Why? I don't know. Should Ringmaster really be that fast? I feel like not really. But he's 315 base movement speed. However, 3 armor, 575 attack range, lower than the average range hero, and 57 damage with some stats isn't the best. 57 damage is okay, but it's not the best. Frankly, the 3 armor is quite bad. And so, yeah, it's surprising that he's not a 6 armor, 67 damage hero, but here we are. So at level 1, if your lane needs a range secure, you're going to want to take Tame the Beast. Tame the Beast is a channel ability that fears and does damage. Basically, it gets smaller the longer you channel it, but it does more fear and more damage the longer you channel it. So you'll see here, the best case scenario is you hit it on the safe laner and the support. This was a pretty cool usage from XingQ because it actually hit both of them. He canceled it slightly early to deal about 80 damage to both of them, which is generally what you're going to want to do. You don't want to max channel it. You're going to miss it most of the time if you max channel it. You should channel it for about 3/4 of the potential channel duration, and you'll have much more success with the ability. Honestly, also at level 1, it's totally fine to take Impalement Arts. This is a dagger that you throw that you only have 1 charge of at level 1. It's only 80 mana, and that's something that's kind of broken about this hero. His level 1 mana costs are pretty low. It's 80 and 90 for an int hero, right? So you have a lot of mana, like a lot. And he doesn't even have a clarity stick, anything like that. Null queued up, whatever. But yeah, you also have the option to take Impalement Arts at level 1. It's pretty solid. It's honestly going to do about 100 damage. It also can nuke out a creep, so you can use it to secure the range creep because it does 100 damage per second to creeps when it ticks. And so yeah, this can be used as a range secure on a 17-second cooldown, or it can be used as just a simple harass tool. Frankly, both of his abilities are very good at level 1, so it's pretty hard to say which one's actually better. Funny enough, in this game, it's kind of a good example of matchups, which is your E, your Impalement Arts, is dispellable. So yeah, it's actually kind of a bad matchup into heroes like Abaddon. You have to intentionally wait for him to use a Photic Shield before casting your dagger, and that's going to play out through this entire game. So yeah, maybe if you happen to be against Ringmaster, Abaddon's like a decent answer. I'm not going to say it destroys the hero. It doesn't. But it's a decent answer because you can dispel these daggers throughout the game. Now, level 2, this is when the hero becomes very good in terms of getting kills, because the E is a slow. It's an 100% slow for 0.8 seconds, which is pretty good. You might be like, it's 0.8 seconds. No, that matters a lot. And most importantly, it sets up for the Tame the Beast. So the classic combo is going to be Impalement Arts into Tame the Beast, right? So if you're going for a kill, that is what you will do. As I said, in this lane, it's a little hard for him to do that. But for instance, once this guy uses the shield, what I would have liked to see him do to harass him is instantly E into Q. Now, this replay will not be a perfect example of spell execution, okay? Let me be real, guys, so no one's fully got it down. What I can tell you is that the E is supposed to lead into the Q, and that is definitely how Valve designed the hero. So when you are harassing people, don't be afraid to use 2 spells to harass them. This Q at max damage is 180 at level 1. 180! Crazy number, guys. Crazy number. And so do not be afraid to use the E to set up the Q, okay? It's going to be worth it. You have a ton of mana on this hero. You are an int hero with low mana cost. In terms of items, definitely want to buy stick and clarities and just button mash your spells and go for kills. That should be your mentality for the whole lane. And we're going to see him pick up a kill in a moment here. And honestly, the big thing is you just got to chat up with your abilities. I know I just said this, but when you use the E, just drop the Q. because Xingqiu goes for the kill here, and because he's not confident, he almost kind of lost the kill. Like, immediately when this slows him, channel the Q in front of them. Obviously, if they try to kite backwards, they're kiting into you. That's going to get them killed, and so they have to run away. If they don't run away and they actually try to run into you, just cancel the Fear early, get a little bit of damage, and get those extra auto attacks because they try to dodge it. That is how you should look at it. You should place it behind them so that they have to run into you, and then it's going to set up for kills. Like here, he didn't even end up using it. They just autoed him to death, which, I mean, is fine. Also, a quick thing that's kind of cute about this hero is the souvenirs. It's his innate. Basically, when an enemy hero dies within units of him, so not as a kill, you don't have to get kills. I don't even think you have to get an assist. They just have to die around you in a 925 radius, which is pretty big. It's not huge, but it's pretty big. You get a souvenir. Now, these souvenirs, there's 3 of them. We're going to cover them throughout the game. I can only see one of them right now. The first one he got is Funhouse Mirror. This Funhouse Mirror creates an illusion of yourself that lasts 18 seconds. If you get one of these in the early game, guys, here's what I recommend you do. Either A, when the clock hits 4:45 or 5:45, summon it and use it to stack Ancients. If you want to contest Power Runes, obviously summon it before the Power Rune. It's an 18-second duration. It doesn't last that long, so you have to move towards the rune and summon it. That's going to let you contest the rune. Or finally, if you happen to get it really early, you can use it to block the small camp. And so these are the main things I would do, which is scout, block the small camp, contest the power rune, or stack. The main one, honestly, in my eyes, is going to be stacking the triangle. Is super impactful in the early game. So the last thing I want to mention for the early skill build is the point in W. A lot of people are going to be very tempted to ignore this ability completely because you have 2 very hard scaling nukes. These abilities, Impalement Arts and Team the Beast, scale very, very well. But Escape Act in certain lanes and certain matchups is completely overpowered. Yes, it's a 38-second cooldown and it forces you to have to use more mana, but it puts your ally in a box or you in a box and they become untargetable. This is really good against all-in lanes. What is an example of an all-in lane? For instance, Tusk. If that guy uses Tag Team, clicking in Escape Art to stop the all-in attempt is very high impact. If Tusk casts 2 abilities, Ice Shards and Tag Team, to go for a kill, or Snowball Tag Team, and you disrupt that with 1 spell, you are going to win that lane. If you were against something like Terrorblade Crystal Maiden lane, and they frostbite your guy and click Metamorphosis, you will want a point in Escape Art so they can be in a box and run away. It will be really high impact because it makes them 100% slow resistant for 2 seconds. So something like a CM that's going to slow them, or like a Veno who's going to Gale, this ability will be really high impact. Now from there, he maxes his E. I'm honestly a little on the fence about what you're supposed to do in terms of skill build. I do honestly think that maybe 2-1-2 should be the default. I do believe that the point in Escape Act early on is really good and it's not situational, but your nuke scales so well, so there is absolutely an argument for just taking the nukes. He's gonna go for max Impalement Arts, and I don't blame him. It gives you extra charges as you skill it up, and you can have up to 4 charges of a nuke slow that does a percentage of their max health, not current health, max health. So it's a killing ability. Usually spells like this are like current health. So if they're low HP, it doesn't do that much. Nope, this one is your max health. So this scales, which is why this hero is probably broken, because let's say there's some 5k HP Centaur, your E is just like the best ability in the game at killing that guy. In this upcoming clip here, we're gonna see the power of the max E. It's just really good at chipping people down. And honestly, the big thing for me is kind of like how this hero relates to Sniper, the current Sniper support. When you play against the current Sniper support, his shrapnel cast range allows you to catch people from far distances. This clip doesn't exactly show that, but like, let's say someone's running away, the cast range is so big that this 100% slow is gonna let you get on top of people. So you're really good at ganking, TPing to other lanes, wrapping on the mid laner, whatever it is, your hero is an incredible ganker because of the cast range of the E, and I think that's partially why he's maxing it. But in this clip here, he puts a dagger onto the timber. Each of the ticks is doing 39 damage. So that's 39 times 4, which is basically 160 with, what, 156 plus the initial 75. So that's going to be about 225 damage per dagger. At this point in the game, that's 3 of those. This is 670 damage? That's way better than Finger of Death, and he's level 5. Okay, it's not way better. It's like Finger of Death, and he's level 5. Just 3 of these. You cannot stack them, okay? So be careful. That's one thing you have to keep in mind that makes this ability somewhat balanced, which is you cannot just like dagger, dagger, dagger. It won't work. You will waste them. You need to dagger, wait, dagger, wait, dagger, wait. That is why it is somewhat balanced compared to something I guess compared to like Finger of Death, you know, it's much, much more balanced. And I think this is a quick, cool example of how you're supposed to use these souvenirs. For instance, here, he knows they're in the area and he wants to deward the hill. If he wants to deward the hill, he can make the very simple play of making a funhouse mirror, sending it up this hill, giving himself vision, and making this play 10 times more safe. Because honestly, Chad running up to a hill on this hero when you have a funhouse mirror is just unnecessary. You can always scout beforehand. However, I say that, but he makes the insane play of just getting all of his abilities off before dying. And let me tell you, this hero does way too much damage. It's way too much damage. The ulti is 50 damage per second, does 300 explosion damage, and it fears them if they look at it for 0.5 seconds. That's it, 0.5 seconds, and they're going to get feared. So basically, if the enemy doesn't look at it, it's still going to do the damage per second, and it still slows. So as long as they're in the radius, it's a 50% slow. That's a lot, right? And so even if people are like, yeah, I'm not going to look at it, they're taking damage and they're getting slowed, and it's going to be high impact to just chuck it on top of them. But the Quap makes the fatal mistake of trying to disengage. Believe it or not, the Quap didn't want to walk towards the Mirana. She actually tried to walk to her base, and because of that, she gets taunted. The Abaddon doesn't get taunted because he's not looking at it, but it doesn't matter. He gets arrowed. It's going to explode. 300 magic damage, doing AoE damage the entire time, by the way, just so you can see that the entire time they're taking 50 damage per second, which is almost radiance, and then it explodes. So yeah, having 3 nukes and souvenirs at level 6 is very balanced, especially when these nukes deal way too much damage. So yeah, if you think this hero is balanced, you're out of your mind. If it's losing right now, it's because people don't know how to play it. Obviously, the hero has some flaws, but it just does way too much damage. So in terms of items, guys, if you're playing support, the main build I actually recommend, outside of just buying a Solar Crest because that item's broken, which frankly might be the best build in a lot of games, like, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I don't patch the game. But one of the main builds that you can go that makes a lot of sense with the spells is Atos. It's going to feel really good for a couple of reasons. You might be like, why do you need an Atos? You have a 100% slow that basically functions like an Atos. The reason why is, frankly, the Atos sets up for the Impalement Arts. This ability, it's not really hard to hit. It's a pretty big radius, but it sets up for the Impalement Arts. Most importantly, it sets up for Tame the Beast. So like if you're close to someone, you can just Atos them into a max damage Tame the Beast, which is 480 damage. But also, which is really, really huge, is just a Wheel of Wonder. This ability, if you want to cast it on someone, you have to like roll it to them. It's not exactly that fast and can be somewhat avoided. So really the big thing for me is going to be Atosing people into a Wheel of Wonder and then into a Tame the Beast. This is going to be a very high damage combo, and in general, this hero doesn't have the best catch. It's not bad in the early game, but as the game progresses, it's not a great catch hero. And so as a position 4, when you pick a hero like this, your team will lack a bit of catch. And so I think Atos, because of the ease of execution, because it sets up for your ult and your Q, is going to be a very high impact build. But I also like what Xingqiu does here, which is just like, this is a hero that wants to stay alive. The longer you're alive, the more you're going to pump out stupid abilities that deal way too much damage. So having Wand, Windlace, Mana Boots, and Double Bracer is going to make the hero just feel good in the early game, and is something I would definitely replicate. Okay, now next 2 things, we're going to have a team fight breaking out, but also next souvenir. Basically, the next one is called Whoopee Cushion. It pushes your hero forward 400 units and leaves a 200 radius stink cloud behind you for 3 seconds. It slows. These souvenirs are kind of just OP, because like something like Whoopee Cushion in the early game is just OP, right? It's like the old Tumblr's toy, but like way better. This is just broken because let's say you want to set up a kill, you can go towards them. If you're getting chased, you're not going to die, because if they're chasing you, you're propelling 400 units, that's a lot, and you're slowing who's behind you. So, I mean, it's just so much utility. But yeah, as the fight breaks out, you're always going to lead with your E. The main thing you should be doing is throwing the E. When you throw the E, then you throw the Q. Then you continue to look for new targets to throw the E. It is very good to be very aware of just throwing E's at different people throughout the fight, because you cannot stack the E's on one target. You do want to eventually stack it on one target, but not at the same time. Yeah, but as this fight breaks out, this is really cool. It's just like so much chase potential, a lot of value damage, leads with the E on the Lina into the Q. Then the Timber's trying to disengage, hits him with a simple E. It's going to deal a lot of damage over time. Throws the wheel towards the Muerta. That's going to slow her by 50% as she's in it. Hits her with a dagger because the ulti actually sets up for the E in kind of a funny way, because it's slow into the slow. and then they easily win the fight. And as you can see, the big thing to the heroes, you just have way too many slows and way too much damage. All right, upcoming here, this team fight is nasty. I think it's going to be one of the last team fights of the video before we just kind of talk about skill build, talents, and such. But yeah, so I want to look very close at this team fight. This one's really good. Outside of his early dagger usage, try to, I don't know, just either buy an Atos and use the Atos to set it up early on, or just be a bit patient. They're very valuable. Don't just chuck them out casually, guys. Like, he's kind of just throwing them here, and both of them miss. It's very cringe. Like, don't play like this. Wait for someone to stun, or like really make sure the person's walking in a straight line. Don't be casual about like easily missing these abilities. But yeah, as this team fight breaks out, everything he does here is just so good outside of the early daggers. So a main thing I haven't even talked about is just escape act. All you really need to know is that like the person you put in the box can still take magic damage, like AoE magic damage, but it doesn't matter because they have 80% magic resist at max level. So like they're basically invincible, okay? Like you just save them. It's essentially a save. It's almost an 100% save. So for the most part, like it's just a save. But yeah, in this fight, what I really like is how he ends up chain stunning the Quap at the end. So goes in with the Q, nothing crazy. Fears the Abaddon, just trying to deal some damage, poke the guy's ult. Throws out a dagger, ends up hitting the Lina, and he has the 15 talent, so now the dagger pierces through. But yeah, these dagger, as I said, like when people get high HP, this dagger is just going to deal a lot of damage. Unfortunately, it can be dispelled, so the BKB here gets rid of it. That's something you have to be aware of. It's much better in later team fights against heroes that don't have BKB, right? So keep that in mind. But gets a wheel here, and this wheel has so much impact in this fight, right? It just has so much impact. So to go back a bit, chucks out the wheel into the middle of them, not surprising, gonna start dealing damage per second. And the Quap goes for an ulti, and she gets taunted. This taunt is very long. It's a 3-second taunt here, and it ends up setting up for the Lone Druid to chain disable her. He throws out a dagger, and the root goes off. And now this dagger is dealing 63 damage per stab. So that's times 4. That's like, what, 240 damage. And then the Quap uses herself, and then he goes for the chain stun and misses. Honestly, when I first watched it, I actually thought he hit it, but yeah, he missed. It did hit the timber, but I thought he hit it because the Lone Druid ends up fearing her, so that's a bit of a shame. A bit of a skill issue from XingQ there. What can you do? But yeah, it's actually a great ability at like chain stunning people out of Yules, because you can time it on the way down. But he wasn't able to, but you can. You can do it. I'm sure you guys can do it. And also, please use your souvenirs. He has 10 of them. Like, you know the hero's broken when he's completely owning and he's just ignoring a very important part of the hero. Because I haven't even been able to talk about the last souvenir, which is the best one. It's called like Strongman Tonic. You can put it on yourself or allies, and it gives strength. It gives 5 base strength and then 1.5 per level, which is like, he's level 17. So it'd be like 30 something. Like, it's so broken. And he just hasn't used it once, any of them. So yeah. Also, you got a shard. Basically, the shard can give vision. So it's called Spotlight. It gives vision in an area, and you want to use it to scout, basically. It also gives mischance in the area, so it does way too much. It kills illusions. It gives vision, which is the main thing you should use it for. The main thing you should use it for is vision, but it's also just 30% mischance. So like, you can just put it on the enemy right clicker. Always, like, I don't know. This hero, frankly, this hero can do a billion things, so I don't blame people for missing their stuff. Which is why, honestly, I actually like what he buys next, which is Octarine. Yes, it gives you more buttons to click, but at least it's not an active item. Like, Atos and Octarine is probably a simple way to play the hero. That's gonna feel good. Gonna be easy. Not gonna have to think about clicking Solar Crest on someone. You can just go from there. Also, my new favorite replay bug is when you put people in this escape act, it doesn't go away in replays. So, Storm Spirit is now permanently a box, which is amazing. Oh, 3-man box pull. Holy shit, I think I did those at the gym yesterday. And yeah, the only thing I really haven't talked about in today's video is talents and the W. Just use the W to save people. And then for talents, at level 10, this one's actually hard. The Tame the Beast radius is really good because this ability scales really well, especially with the 20 talent. So like basically everyone's taking the radius, but I actually think the escape act cast range is better. Reason being is like save abilities. Cast range is just OP. It's 200, which is a ton. That's like an Aether Lens. And this ability is really good. So 200 cast range on a save ability is super high impact. and is what I would lean towards. I know people are probably going to just keep taking Tame the Beast Radius because, yeah, it's a high damage ability. It's a fear. It makes sense to have Radius, but I don't know. If the save is really good, you're against something like Axe or Legion, you should take Escape Act Radius. If it's a good save game, they have like some all-in stun, you should take this the Escape Act cast range. At level 15, just take Impalement Arts, penetrates one target. It makes where your dagger can hit 2 targets. This is just really high impact as the game progresses. This ability is your best ability in my opinion, so buffing it up makes sense. At level 20, you'd think I'd say, okay, take the Impalement Arts, bleed and slow. And maybe you should. The reason why is 1 second slow duration makes it go from 0.8 slow to 1.8, and that's 4 times? So it might be better just for that reason. Plus this ability is percentage damage, max health damage, so it scales well. But plus 300 max damage Tame the Beast makes it where you one-shot waves, which is why I think it's probably better. Being able to one-shot waves late game is just so OP. It's also just 780 damage. And then finally at level 25, both of these are good. I don't really think you need a strong Dispel on Escape Act. It's like good if they're against Fiend's Grip late game or some really long disable. Then it's good because it will just get rid of it. But for the most part, I would just take the wheel radius and range. Okay, that's gonna be all for today's video. Hopefully you have a better idea of how to play this hero. It's pretty hard, mainly because there's a lot of buttons. I don't think like the buttons are that hard to press. I don't know, you guys are pretty terrible, so maybe they're really hard to press. I have no idea. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. NMO. Oh, and last thing I forgot to mention, guys, I'm currently doing a 10% off sale on my coaching. So if you're interested in getting one-on-one coaching with me where we look at your replays, if you sit in a call for an hour, we do it over the course of a month. It's like very in-depth. Many of my students that I do it with end up returning because I put a lot of effort into it. We really kind of develop a relationship and have a good time. So if you're interested in that, my Discord is speed with 3 E's, 3853. You can add me there. I'm clearing my friends list. It was full just from adding a lot of you guys over time, which was pretty funny. It was actually very sweet. And so yeah, I'm doing a sale right now. So hit me up on Discord if you're interested, and I'll see you there.